Namaskar, viewers. Welcome to another episode of Infinite Possibilities with Pradeep Gupta, brought to you by Mana TV International. We are going to be discussing a topic that all of us can relate to, no matter what our age, gender, race, or ethnicity. We all have experienced conflicts at some point or the other with either our older generation, meaning our parents or grandparents, or with the younger generation, meaning our children or grandchildren. Why does this happen? This is something that has existed since the beginning of times, perhaps. But in old times, children were almost forced to listen to their parents, to obey them. Nowadays, however, they are encouraged to think for themselves, follow their dreams, and that has led to even more conflicts between the generations. So, today we will be talking about this generational conflict. But, like always, before we begin, I would request all of you to keep an open mind as you listen to our conversation. The idea of this program is to offer a different way of looking at things, not to challenge your beliefs. And now it's time to bring our special guest. Friends, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Mr. Victor Manikam, founder of the Victor Manikam Knowledge Group, author of the book Handbook for Life, and creator of the life changing curriculum called Program for Life. Hello, Victor. Welcome again to Infinite Possibilities. We are really excited to have you.
As usual, Pradeep, it's happy. Many times I feel I come on to the show to spend time with you.
I look forward to this time too, Victor. The feeling is mutual. And I'm sure our viewers feel the same way. They can't wait to listen to you. So, Victor, as you know, our topic for today is generational conflicts. Why do people have conflicts with older or younger generation? When we obviously love our parents and children, why do we have so many conflicts? Sometimes we even end up resenting them. I mean, I know of people who have so much anger for their parents because of how they were treated as children. And sometimes people have the same kind of anger with their children because they don't listen to them, they don't care for them. Why do you think this happens?
I would like to put it like this. Instead of asking the question why this happens, I would like to put it a little differently to the way I answer this question. Pradeep, is conflicts are default. Like you said some time ago when you started off the show, that it has been there since a long time. Conflict is natural. It is it is going to be there. Two human beings, when they have a conversation, they are having conversations from their context and their perspectives. There's bound to be conflict. Then we sometimes politely agree to disagree, or we maintain differences, or we have separation. The conflict is natural between two human beings. More especially when a generation lives, let us say a generation, when you say a generation, a parent, a child, or a grandparent, there is at least a 25-year-old gap on an average. Now I'm not putting 25-year as a point of reference, it could be anything. But I'm just looking at it 25. The data, the information, the knowledge and the experience that a person has been through is distinct. What has transpired for me in my first 25 years is so distinct from what has transpired for my child in his 25 years. And by the time I would be around 50, the way life occurs for me is so distinct from the way life occurs for my son. Life itself occurs differently for both. What is connecting is the relationship, but life itself is distinct.
That is very true.
And there is an evolution that has happened for the previous generation and the present generation. So I would not say it is wrong to have conflicts, but I would like to put it, which we are going to bring it at the end of the next episode, that it is finally a journey from conflict to possibility. And conflicts, I would like to put it as the ground for possibility. We will see the magic of it at the end. So I would like to begin with saying, instead of trying to resolve the conflict, or trying to remove the conflict. I think the ground that we should operate from is, let us begin to accept the conflict as the ground for a possibility.
So you're saying conflict itself is not bad if it's treated the right way and used to create possibilities.
Yeah, and I would not look at it again as a right way or a wrong way, Pradeep. I would look at it probably, I would go a little step further and say it is possibly the essential ingredient to keep both generations together. I know
Interesting.
I'm talking something radical, maybe it will even look stupid. In a world where we want to bring peace, I am saying conflict as essential for a possibility.
Yeah,
But
you will
yeah,
have a lot of explaining to do there. Actually, I can already see that.
I saw your expression. I thought, Victor, you just blurted something too much too fast. Yeah. So let me just give you a thought process. Let us look at a life cycle. Probably you can present it as usual that we do, Pradeep. Uh, but let me just look at it this way: that what is it a child experiences or needs, or what does a parent provide to a child when the child is born? What is the fundamental relationship between a parent and a child? And that is protection.
So yeah, so let me at this point, I think this is a good point to bring up that.
You feel like putting up the illustration now. So great, we'll follow that, Pradeep. And if you look at it, let's begin with the protection in the green and let's follow the circle from there. Now, that is a fundamental relationship. The child, that's what you and I do, right, as parents, or that's what our parents did to us. Provided that initial protection, that security, probably a reference to the Maslow's need hierarchy theory also, of where you begin with physiological needs, that basic protection that a child
Mhm.
requires from the parent or the parent provides to the child. Now, then in some time, you know that's the whole thing where you can see this scene that a child is out there and jumps into the parent's hand, or the parent is like lifting up the child, and then the child has that security that nothing will happen because I'm going to be jumping into Papa's arms, or I'm going to
Mhm.
be jumping into Mama's arms, like that's how it is. That protection is a very essential feeling for a child to connect with a parent. It's then language comes in, irrespective of where you are. Probably you are an Indian, an African, an Asian, in Chinese, but language comes in. You know, English, American. Then the language comes in, and that's how you give instructions in language. Probably before that, you give instructions in actions, but that protection takes a form by giving instructions. And now that protection is there, it has added up another thing called as instruction. Now you give the instructions on what the child can do. Like, small thing, wait, stop. Okay, let's cross the road. Or now just keep quiet for some time. Or could you please sit there? These are instructions that you give. Probably when the child was around 1, 2 years old, you lifted the child and made the child sit there. But as the child has got language, you say, could you please go and sit there? Or could you come for dinner now? Okay, go wash your face and come back for dinner.
Mhm.
These are instructions that a child builds and a reality gets constructed. Now, this child, till the protection and instruction, has lived with such proximity with the parents that reality is the parents. And then the child, after language and some development, interacts with the world outside. Probably through school, and if those not with school, then some other activity where, other than parents, there is societal influence which starts interacting with the child, and the child begins to see the own world for the first time. And the mental models in the brain are constructing realities outside the parental influence. Then conflict arises for the child because the parents would have said this is the thing to do, and you go out there in the school and the teacher says something else, and or some friend says something else, and this is the how a child begins to have confidence with their own realities. And that's the time the parents guide the child. It's okay. To develop a reality of their own, the parent guides the child. Now just imagine how this is moved from protection, instruction to guidance. Now I just want to say, a lot of parents have this concern, or a lot of children have this concern. My parents don't understand. Or the parents say the children have grown up so much that they don't listen to us. They don't take any guidance from us. They have become their own. They have become their independent self. They are not interested. And that's the problem that they experience with teens. But if the child has not experienced confidence in the protection phase and the instruction phase and has not experienced that stand, then the child and the conflicts have not been kind of resolved by the parents and the child's reality. The child feels there's no need to take guidance. And then the parents say, but the child is not listening to me. But it is very difficult for the child to explain that, Dad, a lot of your guidance has failed. It does not fit in my reality. If I keep listening to you, it confronts my reality, and then I'm going to fail in life because I may just listen to you. Whatever that reality may be, and whatever right or wrong that reality is, I'm not engaging in that. But if that guidance has happened, that doesn't mean like now the child will listen to you forever. At some time, the child is not going to be wanting to be guided by you, but wants to make decisions on their own. And I can tell you, as every generation grows, the number of decisions a human being makes is always far more than the parents. Like I look at myself, when I went to school, I had a school uniform and I had a home dress and then the dress which you wore outside, limited. And when we went to school, you had shoes, and that's what it was. But today a child goes to school, in India, it is like this, that you wear a school uniform, then you have a sports uniform, then you have a co-curricular uniform, then you have different shoes, then when you go out to play, you wear your football studs, then you go out, you wear formal shoes, or you wear casual shoes. I mean, I didn't grow up with so many shoes or so much footwear. Or with toothpaste. Let me look at it with toothpaste. Or let me look at it with soap. You have the children having a different toothpaste. So every morning, by the time you get ready, you already made 20 decisions. 20 decisions independent. The child toothpaste, the child shampoo, the child soap, all that has happened already. I never grew up having to make so many decisions in the morning. I just knew this would be the soap and this is just like that. Everybody used the same brand of soap. But now it is not essential that everybody in the family uses the same brand. The wife is using something, the husband is using something, the children are using something, and if there are 3 children, they are all using 3 different brands. Now there is so much of decision making. Or when you are going out, this is the shoe rack and you could pick any one of the shoes. Just look at it this way, that I didn't grow up with so many decisions to make with something as basic as this. I never even thought there was decision making there. But for my father, it was much lesser in decision making, and he thought that I was having a lot of choices. So if you look at it that way, it becomes important for the parent and the child to have engagement, or rather for the parent to engage with the child. Like a teen falling in love or getting infatuated is natural. But most often children would hide that from their parents because of a context of probably immorality, indiscipline, or just non-approval, or just fear. And a part of the life then begins to be hidden from the parents about their child's development. And a child then becomes like a Jekyll and a Hyde. 2 different, one at home and one outside. That's the kind of personality that starts forming, and the parent does not even know that change has happened. The parent is still believing that what he's seeing at home is the whole of the child. Now, it's important to engage. And only if you engage, then you can get involved in how the child lives. Otherwise, you and I are not going to get involved. We are then going to be living in a place where we say that, oh, they are now adults, they are making their own choices, they are having their own independence, their own freedom. But the disconnect has happened in the phase 3 itself, guidance, because the parental guidance was of not much use to the child's reality, and that not being addressed, now there is no involvement. So this cycle that I am saying is, if the previous is complete, the next becomes fruitful. But if the previous is not complete, the next does not even occur, and the previous has to be complete for the next to occur, irrespective of the age. Irrespective of the age. Now, if this is occurring in due time and you are involved, you will get that your child is different from what you think. And you need to accept. All of us want our children to be either super achievers, or we want them to be achievers, or we want them to be free and say, I don't put pressure of burden, any burden on the child for performance. But whatever it is, you'll have to accept, this is my child. Because there are going to be flaws. And every parent wants to bring up their child with as little flaws as possible. But the truth is, there will be enough flaws. And instead of correcting the flaws by the time a child is an adult, is to accept the child with the flaws. Now when that happens, probably the child begins to learn from you. Learn life. The adult then learns from the parent's life. Till that time it is just about instruction, it's just following, but learning as an individual. And if you look at the external thing, is the first phase is where data and information occurs in the brain thing. In the next one is the knowledge and experience coming up, and then comes the learning. Now this learning is both sides. And I'm going to tell you like this. Children learn from the parents learn from the children. The children actually now have a lot more to share about life itself. Like my son is better in technology than I am, and there's a lot to learn from him. Or there's a lot to learn about FIFA. I have no idea what is FIFA. Or about PS4. Or about just traveling. Or about how you understand social media. He understands the social media far better than I understand in terms of its functionality. I might have an overview, marketing view, but at a functional level, I have just no idea how to handle social media.
I was about to give the same example. Yes. With my daughters, I am always trying to ask them, how to use all these things, Instagram, and how to share there, how to get the views, all those things. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And then Pradeep, that is a bond which forms. If there is no learning being shared between the parent and the child, I think the conflict at that point is at the peak. If there is going to be only a world of instruction and guidance, and that is where most relationships get stuck. Parents stop in protection, instruction, guidance, and they don't move to the engagement, involvement, and the acceptance. But when this happens, the learning shares, and it is at that time the child begins to accept the parents with their flaws. Because the parent has accepted the child, now the parents are not heroes for the children, or they are not those idols and ideals, but they get to see the parents as human beings. Because there's a bond where they say, yeah, I'm also flawed, my parents are also flawed, but we are one, we are related. There is so much acceptance to each other for being the human beings that we are, rather than the roles we need to be. And it's that time the child gets involved with the parent's life. Because the child has always been distinct, not involved with the parent's life. Their breakdowns, their issues at life, their job, their issues with finance, their issues with managing the home. The children are not involved, they're living the carefree world. But now they can be involved. And they engage with the father, the mother, the parental world, and they engage. It is now, as the age goes, and this adult is now creating their own family, they actually guide the parents on how you need to be with probably the next generation. And learning to be guided by your own children is not a bad thing, but it's an experience of fulfillment where they want to take responsibility for the parents. Wow, you just think about this cycle. And then as you get older,
Amazing.
they are giving you the instructions because you and I are going to struggle in managing things, and we need their instructions to even do basic things like how our parents needed instructions on how to fit the doorknob or how to use the remote or how to manage things, because you go to the shower and there is a technology in the shower, and we taught our parents the technology, how to use those basic things like that is to learn from the instructions of the children, and
Not
then the
just
cycle
that,
completes.
I want to share an example here, Victor. My daughter, she worked during the summer someplace and she saved some money, couple of $1,000, and she wanted to put it in some mutual fund or some safe investment. And the kind of research she did to invest her couple of $1,000, and the kind of questions she was asking me, I said, I had never thought about that. I just spoke to a friend of mine, asked him, where are you putting your money? He gave me a name. I just put my money there. I never even went through all the stuff that she did. And I learned so much just talking to my daughter about that. You know, and I was amazed how much at her young age she has learned about financial part, how to invest. I have I was amazed.
And I think at that moment there is such a, like imagine if you had told her, Pradeep, why are you doing this research? Just invest it. I've invested here, it is doing well, just invest it. That would be an insult to everything that she was doing. But
Right.
in doing that, you learn and say, dude, I've been so ignorant. There is so much awareness and knowledge that my child has. I think there's so much thing to learn. Maybe I can also be guided and I can ask this question to my friend, and maybe I can evolve my decisions. The most beautiful thing is when you take instructions from your own children, if they are connected with you at that time, is finally they are concerned for your protection. And that's a beautiful bond where the cycle of life completes, where they take care of their parents like their own children.
I
And
am awed by this diagram, Victor. I mean, this is such a unique diagram that we have. I really hope our viewers are looking at this and absorbing this. I'm going to leave it on the screen for some more time as we speak, because this is something that we really need to we need to sink it in. I mean, everybody needs to understand how this starts from parents taking care of children, and in the end the roles kind of just reverse. And actually it's amazing. It starts with like instruction and guide and engage from parent to child in that direction, and then it starts going all the way from the child to the parent. This is a beautiful circle of life that you have created. Wow.